Well, let me just, this was a bit of a shot across the bow of people. I have kept every single one of the nasty texts I got in Canberra.
Oh.
And I wrote every one of mine as if it would turn up on the front page of the Daily Telegraph. So, you know, one day I might put a book out and I can print them all. Maybe some saucy reading. I want to get on to more important issues. Let's get off all of that stuff and get on to these numbers. The worst numbers in unemployment terms for 19 years. Now, I picked up a story today in the Australian Financial Review. This is my real worry. A recruiter is saying that a lot of workers currently on JobKeeper don't want to go back to work. They don't want to go back to their jobs. And that means business are finding it difficult to move them on and hire new staff. And, of course, it makes it difficult to open up the economy. And we know that 2/3 of casuals are better off on JobKeeper than they were before the crisis, Chris.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You don't know whether they're saying, I'm comfortable where I am, I still fear for the virus in the workplace, I want it eradicated, so they're joining in with the premiers and the chief ministers around Australia, or they're using the fact that they're getting this money, they've got the bridge, they think Scott Morrison might extend the bridge, so they'll just hold on as long as they can. But the problem is, how long are you going to hold on for? If you're holding on until a vaccine comes, they might be waiting like HIV victims for 39 years.
But if you add JobSeeker, which is the dole, with JobKeeper, Gleeson, you've got 40% of the Australian workforce being kept afloat by taxpayers. Now, it's still the same people that are paying taxes that are doing this heavy lifting. This can't go on forever. Don't think I've got him there.
And of course it's required. We know it's required. As Chris said, it's a bridge to get people to the other side. But I know of countless people who are rorting this because, and they'd like the pandemic to go on till 2032 because, they're earning, $500 a week or $550 a week. They're now on $1,500 a fortnight.
Correct.
They've got a little bit extra. They've dipped into their super. They've done a few other little rorts here and there. It's been a very productive period for them. And I think that's why, the Morrison government has to look very closely and stick to the script, and that is JobKeeper does not extend beyond what was proposed, which was September.
Yeah, it's becoming, I think, an impediment to some businesses getting back on their feet and at least rationalising some of their staff numbers. I've got to move on to another topical issue. It's been a big story in New South Wales, but it's bigger than just New South Wales, of course, and this is assaults of police. We've heard a lot said about police over the last month or so here and overseas. I start from the position you support the uniform. I don't start assuming bad faith from police. We saw some pretty horrific footage out of the New South Wales Central Coast, a vicious assault. 2 officers the other day. Now, the father of one of the victims wants to see mandatory sentencing for anyone who assaults emergency workers. We have these laws in Victoria. Here's what the Premier, Gladys Berejiklian, had to say today.
In relation to mandatory sentences specifically, the government has noted previous work done in this area where there's an unintended consequence, that when members of the judiciary see that there's a mandatory sentence, sometimes they give a not guilty verdict as opposed to a guilty verdict because they want that person to avoid the minimum sentence. So what we need to make sure we do in New South Wales is keep people accountable, to make sure people know that if they conduct that activity there is a jail sentence and that the courts will make sure that that's the case.
Chris, this is the argument that mandatory sentencing gets your worst sentence that Labor was trying to run in relation to pedophiles, and now the Libs are trying to run it in New South Wales. I don't think people care about it. They want to see these people locked up.
Yeah, without doubt. And I would have thought when it comes to police, it's been open season. Look, I've been chasing news and current affairs since 1981. I've never seen the attacks on police so prevalent in the last 3 or 4 years. Now, no doubt we're copying some of the racial divide and some of the hatred between police and, black Americans. I'm sure that we're copying some of that. However, there's no ingrained or entrenched racism towards any minority group in the police forces of Australia. There simply is not the evidence, and there's certainly not the evidence of deaths, overwhelming numbers of deaths in custody either at the hands of police. I think we should be praising police because they are injured on the job so frequently. And those people on the Central Coast, how that pair got through that alive, I'm not so sure. They should be praised.
Yeah, and late this afternoon, of course,
she dropped the ball.
The emergency minister, the police minister, David Elliott's out there saying, well, we're going to have an inquiry and, if they're going to thump police, we want to know why they're thumping the police. Bugger wanting to know why they're thumping police. Just do something about the fact they're doing it. Don't have your inquiry. You know what the problem is. Fix the problem, Gleeson.
Yeah, I thought she dropped the ball on it, Peter. I thought, Gladys Berejiklian needed to be a lot stronger. We need mandatory. Of course, we need mandatory sentencing for people who belt police. Where's the respect? I mean, this is half the problem in this country right now. We've got a lack of respect for police, and that is that's how these sorts of things arise, because the kids, it's ingrained in a lot of these kids, and certainly the younger generation, that the police shouldn't be respected, and it's extraordinary.
Yeah, well, I've tried to get David Elliott on this show many times. I'll ask him again tonight. Minister, you're very welcome to come here and talk to me about police and mandatory sentencing. I'd love to go through it, because I think I know where Australian voters are on this issue and others. Gentlemen, thank you for your time. Chris Smith, Peter Gleeson.
Thank you, Peter.
Good to see you, Peter.
All right.